Woman on the Beast, and I'm astonished yet again. Today, we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about the catharsis as a pathogen, as a psychological disease that one induces, trying to seek pleasure from pain. Yes. Today we're talking about the borderline. We're talking about the borderline, woman on the beast, borderline, narcissistic, borderline, and also the narcissistic psychopath man, bad boy. You see, why is it that the borderline goes back to the bad guy, goes back to the no good criminal? Well, there's a reason why. This is a term I coined, the Bdsm pill, understanding both sexes through a Bdsm lens: bondage, submission, dominance, sadomasochism, you see, the sadist. These is an art form that uses these things as tools. Sadism and masochists, they use these mechanisms as tools. They're understanding what you're doing. If you're doing it haphazardly, you're creating destruction. But if you understand what you're doing, you're creating beauty. It's within a subspace, and it's within a subspace. You see. So we're gonna talk about this video on narcissists, the narcissist pain, narcissism, sadism, and masochism. We're first talking about catharsis. Catharsis is a process of releasing and thereby providing relief from strong or repressed emotions. The woman, the beast, the borderline, her emotions are repressed. She's repressed and depressed and oppressed. Oh, there is an avalanche, there is a tidal wave, there is a boulder, an iceberg within her. You only see a small tip of what she's showing. The immense suppressed emotions within, and she uses pain to bring it out. She weaponizes her pain to create and induce pleasure. You see, she understands the cycle between pain and pleasure. She understands that there's a connection between pain and pleasure. You see, the modern woman, the narcissistic, psychopathic, borderline personality disorder, she dances perfectly, elegantly between pain and pleasure. Why is it you think that the woman on the beast, this borderline, she goes back, as I mentioned, to the no good bad guy? Why is it, do you think, that the borderline personality disorder woman has kid after kid with different guys that leave her and do her no good? Why isn't, do you think, that the person that she loved the most, the person that she had a kid with, the person that she was with the longest, the most, the person that she cannot get over, that she has an emotional tie to, and a bond, is the person that abused her the most, the person that hurt her the most, whether physically, emotionally, whether it was fabricated, confabulated in her head. It happened, you see. This happened. It's all related to the BDSM pill. It's all related to the elegant dance between pleasure and pain. It's this cathartic process. It's a cathartic process. Another definition of catharsis is the purification and purgation of emotions, particularly pity and fear, through art of any extreme change in emotion that results in renewal and restoration. In these borderlines, they pivot and dance between, and they plunged. They sprint in between different stark emotions, from extreme excitement to boredom, to extreme euphoria to feeling depressed. This is cathartic. It's catharsis they use this as a purgatory, the in between heaven and hell. You see, it's a healing process. They use pain and pleasure as a healing process, and they use the narcissist, the bad guy, the sociopath, as a mechanism and a tool for self-mortification. You see, self-mortification. They use this to feel alive. This verbal humiliation. They use this to feel alive again because they're dead within. Majority of them, they have repressed emotions. Majority of their true self is submerged within their subconscious, you see. And they use this mortification, self-mortification, this pain to produce that momentary feeling of euphoria and feeling like their true self. Okay, so going to the pain and pleasure connection, pain and pleasure triggers the same part of the brain. You see, in relation to the BDSM bill, talking about the BDSM bill, and this is something that you want to take a note about. If you're trying to get a woman hooked, whether intently or inadvertently, you have to become a phantom to that person, so that when they're not even with you, then they're not even with you. You are that phantom limb. You are that phantom leg, phantom of pain. It says here, Barsuk himself is haunted by the phantom of pain. Many years ago, he lost the tip of a finger, but he still feels it. So, a painful tingling sensation. So, how do you feel something that is no longer there? Breakups. The guy's no longer there. The girl's no longer there. But you still feel like they are. You're still connected to them through that pain, through that variation of emotions, those strong emotions that cause a bond between you and the person. That's what keeps the person coming back for more. That's what keeps that person in your life, is that emotional, traumatic bond. You see, it's phantom. You have to become that phantom bond. You have to become that phantom tip, that phantom leg, that phantom limb. You see, it says here, particularly when the finger is exposed to cold temperatures, that experience makes him sympathetic to people who with chronic pain, and he has spent most of his medical career trying to help them. You see here that it talks about how pain eventually becomes something that's sporadic, a sporadic symptom to a disease, a chronic disorder. These women are going through so much pain in their life, they're being subjected themselves to so much pain that they eventually becomes a disease. They're submitting themselves to so much pleasure. They're submitting themselves to so much stimulation that eventually becomes a disease, a chronic disability. They have to need that stimulation. They constantly need that source of pleasure and that source of pain. Because it's pain that causes them to feel the pleasure, and it's pleasure that causes them to feel the pain. It's a cyclical effect, you see. Catharsis, it's therapeutic. So let's go through this video.
The author of Malignant Narcissism. Most narcissists enjoy an irrational and brief burst of relief after having suffered emotionally, after having endured.
You hear that? Most narcissists suffer a rash and brief momentary relief after suffering. And this is what I mentioned about the relationship cycles. Why is a modern woman, the borderline personality disorder woman, she's in relationships after relationships? Whether purposely or not, it causes catharsis. Is that when she is thrusted outside of a relationship, abandoned, she feels relief. She feels like she has her true self now again. This is why a lot of women, they always will say, I need a break. I need to find myself. So we are understanding you through the BDSM pill. We're understanding how you borderline and narcissists think. You see,
a narcissistic injury, or after having sustained a loss. It's a strange reaction. One doesn't usually react with relief or with elation, but narcissists do. It is a sense of freedom which comes with being unshackled.
Unshackled. They purposely shackle themselves to feel unshackled. It's cyclical. It's BDSM. They submit themselves to this stronghold in order to feel shackled, so that when they are unshackled, and knowingly they will be unshackled, they purposely choose a certain guide to preactively be unshackled. It is like setting in advance that in the future that they will be unshackled. If they'll feel that a feeling of relief, in which they feel liberation and freedom, knowing that they won't always be locked down. They do this on purpose. It's a subconscious psychological mechanism they use for preactive abandonment. The borderline does this thing. She does. She does. The intelligent chaos within her does these things in her conscious mind, and she doesn't. She does not know what she's doing. But in her subconscious mind, she proactively and preemptively picks the wrong dude in order to basically choose abandonment before it even happens, so that it's not. So she knows that it's coming, and it delivers less of a blow. You see, I'm telling you.
Lost everything, the narcissist often feels that he has found himself, that he has been reborn, that he has been charged with natal energy, able to take on new challenges and to explore new territories.
New territory. These narcissists and these borderlines feel alive after breaking up. They induce a breakup in order to feel alive, so they can explore new territories. That means new partners, new experiences, new highs, new lows. They need this. It's a cathartic process that they like to undergo. You see, it's for euphoria. You can't have euphoria without feeling low. You see, that's the whole part of verbal humiliation. It's an ASMR humiliation, is that you feel alive when you have certain stimulations that triggers euphoria, because you understand depression, you understand feeling down, you understand the emotions that are sad, you understand these things. And then when you experience feelings of euphoria and happiness, pleasure, stimulation, it's all the more enjoyable, because you've already been through purgatory, you already been through the hell. You've tipped your fingers into the fiery lake, and you submerge yourself through the glassy sea, the pristine air of the third heavens above. See, this is euphoria.
This elation is so addictive that the narcissist often seeks pain, humiliation, punishment, scorn, and contempt, as long as they...
You see that? What he said? The narcissist, and we're talking about also not just the male narcissist, but the female narcissist. And when she's a female narcissist, she's a borderline personality, so that's secondary psychopath, aka Sam Badkin says that she purposely seeks pain. So when we're talking about pain, we're talking about also about chaos. We're talking about pain, we're also talking about situations, predicaments that cause her pain. Getting pregnant 2, 3, 4 times by different guys that can't do her no good. Causing pain, which is getting with abusers. She puts herself through these painful situations because she's seeking pleasure. She understands that this is also a a reflection of herself. That can get into this part about it. We'll see shortly.
They are public and involve the attention of peers and superiors. Being punished accords with the tormenting inner voices of the narcissist, which keep telling him that he is bad, corrupt, and worthy of penalty. And this,
Do you not have how many girls have you been with? How many females have you been with that have asked you, am I a good person? These modern women, they have haunting voices within their head, in the hollows of their soul, that tells them that they are a bad person. They question their integrity. They feel guilt, they feel shame, and they understand that they have a ticking time bomb. And eventually hit the wall, that they are a depreciating asset of fading beauty. That their only true value is in their beauty that is depreciating. They understand that they are a ticking time bomb waiting to happen. All this goes on within them. All this anxiety, you see.
this is a masochistic streak in the narcissist. But the narcissist, as we well know, is also a sadist, albeit a bit of an unusual sadist. The narcissist inflicts pain and abuse on others. He devalues sources of supply callously, offhandedly.
What he's about to get into is that the narcissist is also a sadist. He inflicts pain and abuse on others. Why? Because the narcissist, borderline personality disorder, is hollow and dark inside. She has no happiness. She's a black hole inside. So she wants people to feel, or she wants people to feel the way she feels. That when she's sad, she wants other people to be sad, but she won't admit that she's sad all the time. She wants to see that reflected on other people, so she can experience that through that person. That person, she'll cause situations to cause her partner to feel pain, to feel suffering, to feel sad, so that it reflects how she feels inside. That's sadistic. This is the Bdsm pill.
Discards people, places, partnerships, and friendships unhesitatingly. Some narcissists, though by no means the majority, actually enjoy abusing, taunting, tormenting, and freakishly controlling others, a phenomenon known as gaslighting. But most of the narcissists, most of them, do these things absent-mindedly, offhandedly, automatically, and often even without good reason. What is unusual about the narcissist's sadistic behaviors, premeditated acts of tormenting others while enjoying their anguish reactions, is that they are goal-oriented. Pure sadists, non-narcissists, pure sadists have no goal in mind except the pursuit of pleasure. Pain to them is an art form. Remember the Marquis de Sade? The narcissist, on the other hand, haunts and hunts his victims for a reason. He wants them to reflect.
You see, the woman of the beast, bottom woman, the borderline personality disorder woman, she enjoys seeing you suffer because she's suffering inside. You know the saying, the misery loves company. This is why you want to associate yourself with people, and a woman with a man, that's somebody that has substance inside. They are full of abundance, of flowing peace and tranquility and love. And if they are in a BDSM relationship with you, they need to be able to control the pain, the controlled chaos, and the controlled pain or suffering that they give you in a consensual manner that's only able to cause you guys to stay bonded. You see? There's a difference between a narcissist and a sadist. A outright sadist has no purpose behind his actions and intentions, whereas a narcissist, one that's calculated and is purposeful in what he is doing or she is doing. Come on. There is a method to his insanity. There's a method to her insanity. And more often than not, the man has a control of what they're doing. Whereas a woman who is the psychopath, she has no control of what she's doing because she's driven by her emotions, like the waves and waters of the sea, the waning, the waxing and the waning of the tides, you see.
His inner state. It is all part of a mechanism called projective identifications. Narcissists torture and torment in order to yield results. Once these results are secured, the narcissist usually ceases. Not so the classic sadist. When the narcissist is angry, unhappy, disappointed, injured, or hurt, he feels unable to express his emotions sincerely, directly, and openly. Since to do so would be to admit his frailty, his neediness, and his weakness, which he would never do. Narcissist deplores his own humanity. He hates the fact that he has emotions, that he has vulnerabilities, that he's susceptible, gullible. He resents and rejects his own inadequacies, failures. So what he does, he makes use of other people to express his pain and his frustration, his pent-up.
Now that is immense. I mentioned that before, getting too quick in, is to the narcissist, the borderline woman, or the narcissistic psychopath man. He has all these emotions and feelings inside. He feels a failure. He feels anxious, sad, he's depressed. He doesn't know what to do with his life or her life. And he doesn't want to admit to it. So his or her way of therapy is by using other people as a conduit to channel those feelings through, to self-reflect it, to experience it through them, because they're egotistical and they don't want to show themselves as weak, to experience it through them, so that they may experience that cathartic process of healing through the other person. And a lot of people do this in relationships. They use the other person as a therapeutic model. Use the other person as a cathartic medium of exchange, you see. That through that person, they may experience the feelings that they're feeling, the depression that they're feeling, the suffering that they're feeling. That's why the narcissist and that's why the psychopath and the borderline, they get along so well, because they heal themselves through their, as Sam Bankin mentions, their archaic wounds. And they use self-modification. They self-modify each other, that they may feel alive, because they are in a hollow shell, and the true themselves nobody knows. But when they're mortified, it causes them to see who they really are, and they are able to release that facade momentarily, and it frees them from that responsibility of being that fabricated self.
Pent-up anger and his aggression. He achieves this by mentally torturing other people to the point of madness, by driving them to violence, by reducing them to scar tissue in search of outlet, closure, sometimes revenge. He forces people to lose their own character traits and adopt his own instead, in reaction to his constant, well-targeted abuse.
See, a lot of women cheat on you. They may cheat on you. A lot of men may, less often than not, but more women than men, they may cheat on you because they've been cheated on. Come on. They've been cheated on. And they want you to experience what it felt to be betrayed, to be cheated on. So they do that to you, so that you may experience the pain that they felt. And this is a way of corruptively, psychotically showing that they love you, that they're trying to bond through pain.
His victims become abusive, vengeful, ruthless, lacking in empathy, obsessed and aggressive. They, in other words, mirror the narcissist faithfully, and thus relieve him of the need to express himself directly. Having constructed this writhing wall of human mirrors, the narcissist withdraws. The goal achieved, he lets go. as opposed to the classical sadist, the narcissist is not in it indefinitely for the pleasure of it. He abuses and traumatizes, humiliates and abandons, discards and ignores, insults and provokes, only for the purpose of purging his inner demons.
It's all for purging. It's his own purgatory. He's building his own purgatory. She's building her own purgatory in and around you. You see, this castle of pain and pleasure. It's a dance. I mentioned it's a dance. It's an elegant dance between pain and pleasure. It's a pivot and a sprint between pain and pleasure. Suicides between pain and pleasure. Swinging the pendulum between pain and pleasure. That they might be put into this substate, this equilibrium of euphoria, of painful bliss, blissful pain. You see.
By possessing others, the narcissist purifies himself cathartically and exercises his demented self. Yet, when this is accomplished, the narcissist acts almost with remorse. An episode of extreme abuse is usually followed by an act of great care and by mellifluous apologies.
See, this is what the narcissist does. This is why they always try to get you back. And the woman, the man, they do these bad things to you, and then you're put into pain, and then they feel remorseful, or so they act like it. And then they say they're sorry. They try to say all these things, to do all these things to get for a apology. This is the way. This swinging of the pendulum, as Sam Vanagan is going to get into, is constant psychological, quote, abuse that happens, is swing, this pivoting between pain and pleasure that the narcissist of the borderline causes you to go through this hall of mirrors and this haunted house, this blissful haunted house that puts you through peaceful, blissful, euphoric memories and horrific memories, causes you to be cemented in time. When this narcissist or this borderline woman does this to you, you don't realize that you're creating, as I mentioned in the beginning, that person is creating themselves as phantom leg. This person is creating themselves as the phantom limb. So that when you guys are no longer together anymore, you see, when you guys are no longer together anymore, after the damage is done, the binding of the pain and the binding and the soothing of the pleasure that the narcissist of the borderline gives, the good and the bad, the up and the low, it causes that emotional bond. And that emotional bond is a phantom leg. Is that you feel that person, you're bonded to that person despite being separated physically. You're no longer in a relationship. You see, you're no longer in a relationship. That person may have moved on, they may have gotten married, and maybe with somebody else, they may have a kid, but you still feel connected. It's that phantom leg that usually occurs through the pain and the pleasure syndicate. It usually occurs through the pain and the pleasure bond. That high and low, and that positive and negative, that the chaotic and blissful times that you go through with that person, whether that person purposely does that or it inadvertently happens, you bond to that person. And this is why the bad boy wins with the girl as opposed to the nice guy, is the nice guy keeps things on a level field. There's no ups and downs. There's no positive and negative. It's all positive. You see, there's no pain. It's all bliss. We understand what happened with Adam and Eve in the garden. They had all bliss, but it still wasn't enough. So the woman in the being, she's gonna desire for chaos anyways. She's going to desire for drama anyways. He or she is going to desire for contention and rivalry and jealousy anyway. So why not give it to them? Why not be the one that disperses it to them in micro doses? Then you are the one in control. You are the narcissist, not the sadist. You can control the arena of bliss and pain, this Bdsm relationship bond. This is the woman of the beast, and I am astonished.
Morning.